Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening for the Camp Accomplished virtual open house. Before I hand things over to our panelists and get to your questions, I just want to cover some housekeeping rules. First, please note that closed captions are available via Zoom or using the external link that I'll place in the chat shortly. Additionally, Asia will be providing ASL throughout the event for anyone who may need it. If you have any technical questions or questions for our panelists during the event, please submit them via the chat box. And please note that we'll take as many questions as we can during the Q&A portion of the event. Any questions that we cannot get to or that may be better answered offline, we can answer via email. And finally, this event is being recorded and Julie will send it out at a later date. We're looking forward to hearing your questions, comments, and feedback. So please make sure that you utilize the chat box. And with that, I'll turn things over to our Program Director of Recreation for the Melwood Recreation Center, Julie Smith. Oh, Julie, we need you to unmute.
Sorry about that. Thank you, everyone. And I'm sure everybody's done that a time or two this past year. Good evening, Camp Accomplished families, parents, campers, friends, and fellow Melwood colleagues. Thank you for joining us tonight for our first ever virtual open house for Camp Accomplish. My name is Julie Smith, and I'm the Program Director of Recreation here at Melwood, and one of my programs is Camp Accomplish. This is my 6th summer for camp, and I am more excited than ever for this year. As you all know, Camp Accomplish is an inclusive camp for campers aged 5 to 18. And what I want to do before we start into any details, I'd like to introduce you to my esteemed colleagues. Unfortunately, our Chief Program Officer, Rebecca Cherokee, could not join us this evening, so she is here only in spirit. So we have here Emily Homer, the Senior Director of Program Administration, Brooksy Batari, Director of Veterans Initiatives and Wraparound Services, and Jason Cross, Director of Corporate Quality. So in replacing Rebecca this evening, Emily, would you like to say a few words before we get started?
Sure. I'd just like to welcome everybody to our first virtual session that we've had here for camp. I am so much looking forward to, as Julie's been here a long time, this will be the 4th summer that I will be associated with Melwood and the camp and what goes on at the camp. So you will see me from time to time out there. And we look forward to everybody coming and enjoying the summer and enjoying the fun that we'll have already set up for everybody after being gone for not being able to do it for a year. I'm really excited for everybody to come back. So welcome to this meeting.
Thank you, Emily. As most people are aware, last year has been very tough on everyone. The COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted all facets of life, and we're slowly trying to regain some sense of normalcy. Last year, Melwood as a company made the extremely difficult decision to cancel in-person overnight and day camp. As an organization that focuses on safety and care for others, we knew this was the safest decision for everyone. We were able to transition and do a virtual Camp Accomplish in a Box, a new and exciting program that we were able to develop and pivot to in lieu of holding in-person camp. We through a generous grant from the Charles County Charitable Trust, were able to provide 500 boxes for Charles County kids. Last summer, it was very empty at the rec center. It was eerily quiet. There were no laughs and giggles, no splashes in the pool, no climbing the wall, or even riding Petey or Spirit. And as much as campers missed camp, we missed the campers. So this year, Melwood has worked very diligently to plan and prepare how we can safely return to some sort of summer. As some of you might be aware, Camp Accomplish will be back for in-person day camp for 10 weeks of programming, and we will also have virtual Camp Accomplish in a Box. That's right, there will be children here in the grassy fields of the rec center. One of the big differences is that we will have a maximum capacity of 40 children each week. So what else are we going to do to ensure safety of campers, staff, and volunteers? Let's dive deeper into that. I do want to mention that we will put the registration information in the chat. because we do have limited availability and spots are starting to fill up. So Kirsten will drop the registration information and my contact information in there as well. So for more specific details on what our COVID plans and protocols are, I'm going to bring back my friend and colleague, Jason Cross, to give us a little update. Jason?
Thanks, Julie. Good evening, everyone. Again, as Julie mentioned, my name is Jason Cross, and I'm the Director of Corporate Quality here at Melwood. This year has been a tough year, as we all can attest, based on the changing nature of COVID and how it's just disrupted so much of our lives. But we are excited to find this new normal and get in a groove with welcoming all of our campers back to Camp Accomplish. I'd like to say a couple things. The first is, over this last year, Melwood followed all CDC guidelines. We followed all state and local protocols to keep all of our campuses and properties safe. In doing that, Melwood, we are happy to say that we've not had one exposure on any Melwood property by making sure we followed those guidelines. So we take it very seriously to make sure that we're keeping our entire Melwood family safe at all times. That includes making sure that we still wear masks, making sure that we're keeping and maintaining social distancing, that we're limiting risky behaviors, things that would cause us not to be able to maintain those distances, that we're keeping our hands clean and providing ways for us to have sanitization stations and hand sanitizing stations and hand washing. We've implemented enhanced disinfection. We've actually purchased some fairly cool technologies. Electrostatic sprayers is what we call them, that help us in keeping surfaces clean and disinfected. So we did pivot to a lot of great things that have managed to keep us all safe here at Melwood. And frankly, we're going to implement those things at the camp. Ways to keep people safe is what we know. We know there are things changing. COVID has been a moving target. So we've tried our best to keep up with the different regulations as the COVID climate seems to be getting better. According to the CDC, it looks like we're at the best spot we've been in the past, at least in 7 months, and quite possibly since the beginning of the pandemic. We're just in a great space currently as we look at COVID, but that doesn't mean that we're going to drop our guards completely. So what we did was we walked into this in an abundance of caution and looked to make sure that we could maintain those social distancing. So when we look at activities, we planned it to make sure that we weren't getting too close and that we didn't have contact in terms of activity. I'll let Julie explain the rest of those things. We did a full space plan according to the CDC regulations, where we walked and went through a full checklist to make sure that we had all the spaces that we needed. Things like making sure that the pavilions where we can have lunch and serve food outside, because we now know that there's such a lower risk of transmission outside. So we wanted to make sure that we have that kind of space available. So we've got that prepared. We've done all kinds of things just to make sure that, you know, we're following COVID regulations as they are right now. So we're still making sure we pay attention to masking, wearing our masks, to keeping our social distance, to making sure that we disinfect and we clean regularly, and that we allow space for good hand hygiene. So that's the crux of it. And as things change and as we start to get more information or we start to follow the science, it's possible that we'll adjust. But currently, this is what we think makes the most sense to stay safe. Julie?
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate that. So we are going to open the floor to questions. I can talk a little bit more about specific activity points, but let's open it up to questions right now that anyone has. I see that we have one question so far. That will transportation still be available from different locations? If so, when is drop off and pickup? Yes, we will still have our normal transportation, and we will be able to get that information to you. So in my contact information in the chat, just shoot me an email and I'll get that information to you. And for anyone that needs to make small changes to registration that have already registered, this is another question, contact me and we can make that change. So just to tell you a little bit about activities and how the COVID protocols change things. So Jason and I, when we talked and walked the other day, let's give an example, sports. Not really any team competitions, but more individualized. So instead of playing soccer, we could run drills, we could play some shooting competitions in basketball, and a lot of relay races and all kinds of interesting things like that. We've got plenty of equipment and plenty of space to roam. Climbing wall, we sanitize all of the equipment in between climbs. We are masked and we're socially distanced. Nature, again, 108 acres of space, so our activities are spread out outdoors. Our horticulture therapy program is going to be socially distanced, outdoors, and minimal contact with other people. Equestrian's been doing this since the pandemic started, so they know to socially distance everybody and sanitize the saddles and the equipment. Looks like we have other questions. How will the new CDC guidelines impact camp? Can we expect updated guidance as camp gets closer? Jason, you want to comment on that one?
Yeah, I do. The first thing is this. As for now, the CDC is only one part of that puzzle. So as we look at changing regulations, our requirement is that the change happens and flows all the way down to the local level. So though the CDC may make a recommendation around new activities and what is safe in terms of loosening restrictions, that doesn't necessarily mean that we'll make any shifts until that is trickled down through the state and the local governments. So we got to make sure we're paying attention to the larger picture. But the answer, as this has been a moving target, is yes, it's possible that we might end up making some changes as things are safer or as science proves that things are safer. But we will always slow walk any return or any loosening, and we will also consistently err on the side of caution. That's just been our the way that we've operated so far, and it's proven to be quite effective. So we just want to make sure that we are keeping things moving at a slow enough pace that we don't get ahead of ourselves, neither all of the government entities that we have to make sure we're in compliance with. And I do want to say, I'm sorry, just to jump back and grab something, we will be doing COVID screening. We will absolutely be screening before any of our campers take any of our transportation or when they arrive to camp. We also will be screening all of our staff. So we'll be answering those questionnaires. That has not changed just yet. And we will be still taking temperatures to make sure that we're not having anyone at our camp with elevated temperatures.
So also to add to what Jason said, I was on a webinar today with the American Camp Association, the CDC, and the American Camp Nurse Association. They've been doing updated webinars every 2 weeks, and they do have another one scheduled in late May. So if new things pop up, we will know pretty instantaneously. And actually, I'm on a commission for the state of Maryland, and we get updates constantly. So other questions? What other programs will occur at the rec center during the camp season? Usually during the camp season, camp is the focus. There will be some limited equestrian lessons after the camp day is over, but pretty much during the summer months, it's camp and camp only. Is Camp in a Box available for pickup? How many are available? Yes, we will have pickup options or shipping for an additional price. We are trying to limit virtual camp to 50 boxes per week. As of right now, we have boxes available. Oh, this is a good one. Are you still looking for camp counselors? Yes. So we can put this information in the chat as well. We are still currently looking for counselors, and you have to be 18 years or older, and you can go to melwood.org and look for the summer camp counselor job. Can you explain Camp in a Box? Sure. So Camp in a Box is basically literally a box full of all the materials that you would need for all of the pre-planned activities. It would have all the supplies needed, some snacks for the week, some Melwood swag, and then all of the links for all of the live and pre-recorded sessions that would go along with your camp program. So it's basically doing a week's worth of camp at home. How late are registrations open? Well, typically we start cutting off registrations as we get into June. Being so limited this year, I will tell you, we are 53% as of today booked for this summer, but we have pending another 30% of our registration. So if you want to register, I would register sooner rather than later, because I do believe we'll be at wait list capacity in a couple weeks. Will we be able to do the same activities at camp that we've done in previous years? Yes and no. Most of the activities will still be there. We've made the decision as an organization not to have the swimming pool this year. We just didn't know how we could safely do it and socially distance in a pool. We will have many different water activities that we're going to do in place. And we're also not going to do archery, simply because we would literally be wiping down bows and arrows the entire time, and just feasibly and time-wise, we just couldn't do it. Still have the climbing wall, still have the ropes course, and we're actually going to take kids on the new veterans ropes course. Still have nature, arts, horticulture, culinary, equestrian, arts and crafts. So all those other activities are there. Is it possible to schedule a visit before things start to camp? Yes. Again, contact me. I've done a couple visits. Same thing, mask. We do a tour and we talk. You're welcome to set something up with me at any time. I see you're looking for volunteers. What do volunteers do at camp? We do have volunteers during the summer, and we have volunteers assist counselors. We have volunteers work in the front office. We have volunteers at the equestrian arena, and we have volunteers at the horticulture garden. So we're always looking for volunteers. And again, you can look in the chat. We'll put information on how to volunteer for Melwood. I think I caught up to the question so far.
Julie,
Emily or Brooksy, do you have anything you'd like to add right now?
can you talk a little bit about scholarships?
Certainly. So we do have some scholarships available. We will send out the form that you have to apply on, and we will let you know pretty much on a weekly rotation. We'll be evaluating. So we do have some money to give this summer. We know at this time more than others, not only do kids need to come to camp to play, but sometimes we need a little help in being able to afford it. So we are glad that we have generous donors that are allowing us to give some scholarships. Anything else anyone wants to add? Any other questions?
Julie, can you talk a little bit maybe about staffing this year and how that might look a little different than past years?
Sure, certainly. As many of you know, we typically hire roughly 75 international staff. Obviously, that's not necessarily possible. We are hoping to bring over about 10 to 15 international staff, but we're still waiting the visa update. Some of our summer camp counselors that we've hired have already got a visa appointment, so that's promising news. But we have hired a lot of domestic staff. We won't have the need with only 40 kids, so we will only have about 35 staff total. So another thing I'd like to bring up is, I think with kids having done mostly at home virtual school and maybe not being able to be on their sports teams, it's truly important to remember the value of play. I'm actually taking a 4-series class with the American Camp Association about the importance of play. And as an adult, it's been a blast to kind of come up with new ways to play and to bring this back to kids this summer. So we are looking forward to being able to play and to having the kids back. A question we're getting right now is, if your child registered last year, but then did not attend and is not attending this year, will the money be held in reserve? Last year, we sent out some communications, and it might not have been seen by some people, but we could either roll it over, we would have refunded last year, or it could have been a donation. So if you contact me, we can discuss further. I do want to mention also food service is going to be done a little bit differently this summer. Obviously, family style or buffet is not an option. So food will be prepackaged. We'll prepackage in the kitchen, and kids will still be allowed to have as much as they need, or as much as fills them up. But it'll be prepackaged. Cutlery will be pre-wrapped. We won't have the big bottles of ketchup going around that we have to refill 400 times during the summer. So we'll be using packets and things like that. I'm getting the question now, can I pack my child's own food if I want? Certainly. Again, just prearrange that in advance so we know that your child will be bringing their own food. But yes, we do have some parents do that. We will still offer the snacks pre-wrapped. Breakfast will be, pre-wrapped, pre-portioned out. We're going to do water a little different. Instead of refilling water bottles out of the big jugs, we're going to hand out water bottles, and just that we think that's a safer way this summer. Travel groups and cohorts for kids this summer will be no more than 8, so you'll have 8 kids to a group. What are the hours at the recreation center for day camp? Good question. So camp officially begins at 8:30. Kids start arriving at 8:15. It starts at 8:30, ends at 4:45. If you're using Melwood transportation, they generally are home by 6:30, just depending on traffic and which stop you're at. Will there be choices for food at meal times? We do go by a menu, but usually there are options. So for example, there's always the salad option. We always have fresh fruit. And, sometimes if there are dietary allergies, we certainly have options. But I have this wonderful new product called Wow Butter, which is a peanutless peanut butter alternative that tastes like peanut butter. So we can always do that. I see a question coming about if my child is nervous. So I'll give a second for that question to come out. We know that there's going to be some anxiety this summer, and I've had this discussion with everyone I've been interviewing. Our job is to make sure everyone's safe and that everyone feels comfortable. Kids haven't been out amongst other kids, so it's going to be different. It might be a little awkward at first. It might be a little, scary to them, but we will have people on staff and on site that can talk to them. Trying to think what else we wanted to tell you. Transportation, we will limit how many people on vans and buses. So we will probably be making more transportation runs than normal. What if my child is nervous about doing certain activities? That's easy. We don't pressure anyone to do some of the activities. I don't like heights. I'm not going up on the ropes course. Some people don't like animals. So we will find something else for them to do. And by no means do we force kids to do something that they don't want to do. What type of water activities? I see a question popping up. What type of water activities? Obviously, we're going to do some sprinklers. We're going to do water balloons and things like that. I've put out a call for a dunk tank. That will be hopefully a weekly activity. I don't know how many times I'm going to get in it, but if I'm made to. But we're gonna do some water stuff. We're gonna have some relay races with water. We're gonna encourage people to bring their bathing suits, so they're gonna get wet. So it's gonna be hot. We know the pool will be missed. And again, we also still do the canoeing. We're gonna do fishing this summer. So there'll be other things that they can do. Will you still do s'mores on Fridays? That is a very, very good question. Yes. So luckily our graham crackers and things like that come pre-wrapped. So yes, we will have a little kit made up, and the kids will still, with the assistance of the counselors, do their own s'mores. I would never take s'mores away. We even provide s'mores in the virtual Camp Accomplish box. So we always make room for the s'mores. What are the most popular activities? The climbing wall and the ropes course are pretty popular. Definitely equestrian is usually popular. And believe it or not, the last couple of summers, our gardening and our cooking have been like the new go-to activities. So we are really excited to be able to do those again. Kids love to watch things grow. Do you have gluten-free options for s'mores? Yes, we will. We do get the gluten-free graham crackers, and we do have different, we do have some kids that can't do chocolate, so we do alternatives. So we will take care of that. Will there be a virtual option? Yes, we have virtual Camp Accomplish in a box for all 10 weeks. So just to reiterate what Camp Accomplish in a box is, it would be the same themes. We have each week themed this summer. So we have themes like Under the Sea, Barnyard, Animal Kingdom, American Adventure, things like that. And we can promote the themes of the summer. We do activities that we'll have horticulture activities, we'll have nature activities, arts and crafts, all kinds of things in that box that they'll be able to make. We'll do a sip and paint. That was very popular last year. They'll get snacks like everybody gets. They will get the s'mores for the week, and all kinds of fun stuff. We're getting another question. For culinary activities, how do you accommodate gluten-free kids? Very simple. I make sure the recipes that I'm doing don't involve anything with gluten. So we will make sure that they're safe for any allergies. We are very good with tracking dietary allergies and needs like that. Here's probably my favorite question of the night. Will Flat Miss Julie be a key component this year? Love her so much last year. Flat Miss Julie has not left us. She will be back this summer, live and in a box. What are the fees? Where can I find the fees? Everything's on our website, but I can tell you, day camp is $365 a week. Virtual Camp Accomplish in a box is $100 per week. We do have multi-sibling and multi-session discounts. And again, we do have scholarships available for both in-person and virtual camp. Good question. Is there a Melwood employee discount? Yes. Contact me and I will let you know. We do have a Melwood discount. What are the virtual hours? Well, interesting question. So we do have pre-recorded links for the activities, so you can do them at your leisure, depending on your schedule. We will have a few live things a week, but we will also record them. So if you can't join at a certain time during the day, you would have the link and you could do it as you are allowed and are able. Can you accommodate a child who may need to, wait a minute, let me just read this. Can you accommodate a child who may need to remove or replace a Boston brace for activities? And I'm sorry to not know, but I'm not sure what type of brace that is. Emily, anyone? Maybe whoever asked
scoliosis brace.
Oh, thank you. So yes, we have accommodated that before, and we can accommodate kids with braces, yes. Can you talk about bug spray and sunscreen application? Obviously, we are big proponents of both sunscreen and bug spray. Counselors would apply it. We typically use ACA approved bug spray and sunscreen, and if it's a situation that the nurse would need to do it, we could have our nurse. We will have a registered nurse on site all time that children are here. These are some good questions. Thanks, guys. Keep them coming. I will say another thing to mention that I would say 99% of our activities will take place outdoors. We've spaced out the activities, so everything is spaced out through camp. We will have some availability to eat in the dining hall, but we are gonna promote eating in the pavilions this summer. Rainy day activities, we will separate into the buildings and have a plan for how many kids can be in each location. So we do expect thunderstorms, but we have backup plans for those kind of things.
Just to add to that, Julie,
Thank you.
yes, we do have the shelter in place available. Also, in the very unlikely event that we do have someone sick, or we feel like there may be an exposure, we do have designated isolation spaces available, so that we'll have your child in a space for you to, they can be safe and comfortable until you can arrive to take them to see the doctor for medical treatment.
So this is actually a comment. Oh, actually another question coming. Where is the bus stop? We have pickup and drop off locations at National Harbor, Bryan's Road, at Melwood's Dower House campus in Upper Marlboro, Waldorf, La Plata, I'm missing something, Leonardtown, Arlington, and I think that's it. And you can, if you live close, you can pick up and drop off at camp as well. Any other questions? Any other comments from any of my panelists?
No, I just want to tell you, Julie, you've done a great job in covering everything that we needed to cover, and I appreciate it. I know it's been a lot of extra work for all of us to make sure that the children come back safely, and that the children came back this year. We were working really hard to make sure that that happened. So I do just want to add that in there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, much appreciated. We do have a comment from a parent. I just want to also tell you, my son has been looking forward to Camp Accomplish. He missed you all last summer, and you know what? We missed all of our campers last summer. So we understand that, we appreciate that. And we have someone else that said, great presentation. Can't wait for my kids to join for the first time. And we love having new kids too, because it's new family members. Any more questions before we wrap up? Have we missed anything that you didn't get to ask, or oh, yep, we're getting another question. Is it only day camp for now? Yeah, we are not going to have overnight camp this summer. Overnight camp will hopefully be back in 2022. So any closing thoughts from any of my panelists?
I just can't wait for camp to be this year. I really missed it last year, and I can't wait to see the kids back playing again, because I know it's been a most stressful year, and people have really been cooped up a lot. And so I think Melwood's Recreation Center will be happy to hear the kids laughing and screaming and all of the fun things that they'll be doing.
And I just want to say, Julie, Jason, Emily, they work tirelessly to make sure that this camp is safe this summer. So if you have any hesitation, just know that we are doing every possible thing that can be done to keep your child safe.
And always, if there's anything else I can help you with, you can always feel free to email me at jusmith@melwood.org, and they've dropped that in the chat. But looks like that's it. It looks like no more questions or comments coming in. So we really appreciate everyone joining us tonight. And hopefully those that were a little bit on the fence, this will, let you know that we are doing everything we can to take care of not only our kids, but our staff as well. So we look forward to having a bunch of little kids and some counselors around for a fun summer. Thank you, everyone.